Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Half Hour. And I'm so happy to share today's guest with you. I have Miss Amy Evans here. She is one of my pals now, so I'm happy to be able to speak to her for 30 minutes with you guys. But she is founder and CEO of a leadership. She's got such a solid background in leadership and sales in big tech. And y'all know I had my big tech background too. So we became instant buds. But Amy, welcome to the show.
It's such a pleasure to be here. You know I love you, so anything
I
you
know.
do, I'm a fan of, right? Yes.
So I've been looking forward to this. All right. So we share this big tech background, right? We share this sales leadership thing, but we also share this path of that was a chapter. And now we're in our next chapter of helping other leaders and founders and stuff figure out their next, really, right? Or improve their world so that they get some of their life back and not just burn out and all that
Yes.
stuff. But I want to ask you the first question. And it's like, how did you get to a point of wanting to found your own company and then really just get the gusto to go for it and why you're passionate about it? So let's start with the backstory and then we'll go to like why you're passionate about what you're doing today.
For sure. Yeah. So I wanted to be CEO when I was 23 years old, and I had no
I
clue.
love that. I did not
I
know
had,
that about you.
yeah, I had no clue about like life or business or anything. Like I hadn't really experienced anything yet, but I knew I always wanted to be in that position where I could really call the shots. And it took me a good minute to get there. So that was 25 years in the making to get to this point. I hope it doesn't take it, people listening, if that's what you're up to, you can do it faster. I came to have my own company. It was imagined first when I was at that age, which I'm not anymore. And then I set about doing the things of life, like paying off college debt and having to earn a living and pay rent and mortgages and get married, have kids, get divorced, be the sole provider for my family. And all the while I was in tech leadership or tech sales and sales leadership
Yes.
at that point. So, I'd always had this vision that I would have my own company. And the thing that perplexed me, and I would talk about this, like I'd get to the end of the quarter, I get to the end of every year, and I'd be like, am I really doing this again? Am I
Okay.
really
Can I
doing
ask you a
this?
question? Did
Yeah,
you just tell yourself one more year? Because I can't tell you
always.
how many years I did one more
Yes.
year.
Yes, I would say one more year. And the truth of the matter was that had just set myself up to always be on one more year
Damn, I did too.
because I was avoiding the reality. And what was great was that my avoidance came to an end. And I'd love to say it was by my choice, but it didn't. I got pushed out of the nest. I was one of 10,000 people who was laid off from a big corporate job that I had, a big sales job there. Like the kind of money that when I was 23 years old, if somebody told me that I was going to earn that kind of money, I'd be like, no, I'm not.
Understand.
Whoa. Yeah.
I did too. I was like,
Like
surgeons make that, and I'm not a surgeon.
more than, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I was laid off and I was going through a divorce from a 17-year-long marriage at the time. So it was like, if there was anything that could have not been changing, I had my health, right? I was healthy. So I was thankful for that. So all these things were happening at once. And at that point in my life, I felt really called to explore for the first time since I was 14 years old. I didn't have a job to show up to every single day. And I was really lucky. I did have a runway. I had a very nice severance package from the company I was with. And so I had this time and time to heal from the layoff, time to process and start to deal with the untangling of a marriage, start to figure out like, what am I really going to do now that I'm not on this treadmill of one more year, one more quarter,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm off the treadmill. What am I going to do? What during that time, I watched a special on Netflix that talked about energy work. And I think Gwyneth Paltrow may have been involved. Anyway, I decided I was like, oh, I want to go find out what's energy work. So I go straight to where anyone goes to go find something 3 years ago, which is Google. And I found an energy practitioner around the corner. I sign up, I call her, we have a meeting, fast forward, I'm on her table, and I start talking about my future on that table with her. And I'm talking about wanting to own a business and have my own business and the fears that I have about doing it. Like, will I be able to provide for my family? That was the number one thing on my mind. Can I really do this? Can I take care of them?
And I just want to
My
pause for
children.
a second
Yeah.
to really bring the listeners in on this
Yeah.
because I'm in this journey with you and I see myself, I'm like kind of putting myself on that table and I'm just inviting the listeners in because I know that so many of them probably have like a sacred dream or something like that too. And they're probably have been in positions like 1 more year, or 3 more years, or when my kids get to high school, or we give ourselves all these little milestones to prevent the thing, but what you're really saying too is that there's a fear inside, which is why we don't do it. And now you're addressing these fears on this table. So bring us back to the scene. But listeners, if you have
Yes.
these fears too, listen up because there's a way out.
For real, there is. All that happened there was that I got access to that original dream and I started to see that this could be a time for me to do it. And I had none of the answers for how it was going to work, what it was going to look like, how it was all going to be.
So
And
you had
yeah,
mentioned that some of the fears came up, like, are you going to provide for your family? I'm just really curious, like, what were some of those fears? So we all have shared experiences. I'm sure
yeah.
I'll relate to what you have to say, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I was the sole provider for my family when I was married, and therefore there's no one else. It's been me. There's no one come to save the day. I get to save me. And so that was the thought of like, will I have enough money? Will I be able to provide for my? That was the fear. That was the fear, really. But it was like that. I got access to that dream again. A few months later, I start to really explore it, and I still don't have the answers yet. I still don't have a perfectly baked plan. I was always looking for the perfectly baked plan.
me too. That's part of our corporate background, right? Like, it's almost like when you're in sales and sales leadership, you've got this, where are we going the next 5 years? And then you build it backwards and you know all your milestones
Yes.
and all that stuff. And then when it comes to you and like your own business, you're like, I just want to know if I can survive it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hired a coach during that time. So I'd done that energy work that kind of opened up a whole lot of things for me, including the fact that I had this latent dream that was, I still had time in my life to, it's not over yet. I had time to realize it. And I started to work through what a number of things like the divorce stuff, but also what it was this business going to be like and what did I want it to look like? Who was I going to be? What did I want really? Because it had been a long time since I'd sat down and thought about what I really wanted for my life.
I think you just hit a mic drop moment. I'm just going to pause you for a second because what do I really want?
Uh-huh.
Holy crap. We don't ask ourselves that question. Like, I recently, and I gave you some of my backstory before we started talking, but it was about a month ago where I actually asked myself the same question. What do I actually want? And I started thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a coach. And I don't know the last time I asked myself what I really want. And not only have I not asked myself that in a long time, I haven't given myself permission to even go into the dream. So I am like, McLovin everything you're saying right now because I'm like, yes, I hope people like are hearing this. And these are just, we want to go back to your story, but guys, like, what do you want? And
Yeah.
give yourself permission to like journal it out. It's so powerful. All right, back to you, Amy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And what I chose for myself, and I have to remind myself of this regularly, like, what do I want? What do I want? What am I doing? It helps me orient. But I've gone through the exercises of writing that down. That coaching experience led me through that. And it sounds so simple and it's harder than it looks.
Yes.
But when you start to get real about what you really want for yourself in your life, all of a sudden you start to look around and see that there's a lot of things going on that aren't serving that. And that's what happened for me.
Mm.
So I'd already pulled the trigger on the ending a marriage that wasn't working for me. Wonderful person. We are great co-parents. Everybody's happier now. One of the better decisions that I've made in my life. But I looked at it and I was like, do I need this big house? Is this serving me?
Mm.
Do I need all these things? Are they serving me? Now, this was my journey. This was what was for me, right? And I recognize that in order for me to create a space where I could safely build my business, have the time to do it, and do it in a way that didn't feel out of sync with who I was, because I'd been operating so out of sync with myself for so long, just showing up and delivering the numbers, showing up and being the great executive, doing all that stuff, sacrificing myself and my health along the way. relationships, friendships, a lot of things, all the things. And then in that choice, how can I do this in a way that I'm safe and that I can take care of my family, which was critical for me to do. And at the same time, begin to build this, have this life that I want, this life of love, this life of peace, this life of growth and abundance and joy and great health.
I love.
Yeah. And so I purged some things. I sold my house. I
Did
live in
you?
a, yeah, I sold my house. I live in an apartment. I love it.
So awesome. You're like, I don't have to take care of anything.
And it freed up all this cash that I could use to invest in my business.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. So that was like all this, it was like I had this idea. I want to do this. I didn't know how it was going to get done. And then all of a sudden, the minute that I said, yes, I'm going to do it, things started to just kind of happen. Now, it wasn't like I just dreamed about it. I realized I was like, I could either sell my house and go buy something else and lock up all this funds or make a different choice. And so that was just getting creative about how do I have to do that? How do I want to do this? And how am I going to choose to do this, to do it in a way where I have safety for my family and myself while I'm building my business. And
Beautiful.
I've just wrapped up like my first quarter and it was great. It wasn't like I'm not there yet, right? Because I'm building, but like I'm taking my family on vacations. Like I'm living the same level of life that I was before. And I'm doing it without the self-loathing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What would you say to the listeners if they're in a similar position? And I'm just going to like just go straight into the layoff because let's not sugarcoat what's happening right now. AI is leveling the workforce in white collar. And like I've read a statistic, I don't know if it was on Wall Street Journal or one of them, but 47% is middle management.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so there's probably some listeners in here that are actually laid off right now going, oh my God, what am I going to do? And now I have 100,000 and counting people to compete with.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to that person?
I think there's a few things. Almost always I found that when my back has been up against the wall, it creates clarity and it shows you the way. Like that clarity of being awakened by stuff just got serious and I've now got to figure it out. Nothing inspires action more than that, the right action. And the thing I would say is taking time to write down what you really do want. And it doesn't have to be starting a business. Maybe starting a business isn't for you. There are tons of opportunities still out there. They might not be immediately apparent, but the thing that I do know is that the minute that you start to take action and tell people what you're doing and what you're up to and what you want, because you're clear about it, you've taken the time to get clear about it, things start to happen.
That's what I was just going to say. It's an opportunity for alignment. You might even
Hmm.
find that you're not doing what you love to do.
Correct.
And what I have found as being a creator with the universe and proud of
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
is that when I'm out of alignment, weird stuff happens, pain happens.
Yes.
And often because I've ignored the signs several times.
Hmm.
And when I do get quiet with myself and I have to go on that inner exploratory, like you're saying, what do I want?
Hmm.
But then when I answer that call, it's like a door opens that wasn't there before. So it could be a job for somebody, it could be a new partner, it could be a new property, it could be a passion project. Like maybe you used to try when you were young, do triathlons when you were young, and you're like, oh, I'm 50 something now. And I don't even think I get back to it, but you start working out and you're like, oh, yeah, I still got this. And you find yourself back in an old passion. But there is a way back to yourself, no
Yeah.
matter where you are.
For me, I believe that you've got to go to do that before you can go be with opportunities, whatever they are. People can feel it on you. If
Mhm.
you are aligned with yourself, if you're aligned with what you want to do, and if you're in a moment where you're like, look, I just got to make money because I have to put food on the table, you got to just make money to put food on the table. I'm not going to bullshit you on that, right? But if you have any amount of time, taking the time to get straight about what you really want for yourself, and then honestly, just getting out there and talking to as many people that you know and telling them what you're doing and what you're up to. I watched a guy get hired in a week. on LinkedIn because he chose to take his job search public and he's posted about, I just got laid off. Here's the website that I made about myself on Lovable, which is an AI vibe coding website maker. And that guy had 50 comments on that post of people saying, hey, we're hiring for this role, or check this out, or, right? You cannot do this alone. And if you're going to try to hide and suffer, the universe conspires to help people who are aligned with themselves and then go out there and just say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to do something.
I am obsessed with that.
Yeah.
So I found that true too.
Yeah, it's been true in my business. When I look at the clients that have come to me, they've literally come to me, but it was because I've been posting authentically on LinkedIn like a maniac. It was like, I understand I'm in a place of freedom because I don't have some corporate overlord looking over me anymore and restricting what I can say and do, but I'm just like, cuffs are off. I'm saying what I think. And when people feel that authenticity from you, they want that. They
Yeah,
want that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that you've shared so much wisdom so far because now we're in this place of authenticity. And when you answer that call within of like, what do I want? I feel like that's also like a side effect that happens is you end up more in your authentic self.
Yeah. And you're coming from this place of, okay, I'm not afraid, or I might be afraid. How about that? I know who I am. I know what I want, and I don't care if I look stupid.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me real fast, what's a big aha that's up for you right now?
Wow. Okay. I'm going to be so real. I don't know any other way to be. This conversation's being recorded in the middle of like a 2 week pause that I've given myself from my business, which is normal. Like been doing this for a year. I just had a big quarter and I am reflecting on what happened in that quarter, what went well, what didn't go well, what do I want to do more of, what do I want to do less of, right? And one of the things that I did that was really cool, honestly, was I hired a company to help me with lead gen. And I was so proud of myself. I was like, look, I made an investment. I'm a sales lady. I'm getting late leads going. Look at me. And
Yeah.
yeah, they did their job. They did an amazing job. They were getting me appointments the whole time. And I was having all these great conversations, but they weren't warm or qualified conversations. And so what I'm doing right now is actually taking a beat on that. I'm like, okay, let's pause that appointment setting. And I'm going to think about, how am I going to go to market here? In the middle of that, I've had these other opportunities show up.
Are you serious? You
Acting.
see, so that's like, but you show up for one thing and it puts the energy to the universe. So I'm just going to pause and
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing. So like listeners, you can pick it up. So what I'm hearing is like you took courage, you opened a door, you went into something that was like, oh, this could really like potentially improve my business. I'm open for growth. So what you signaled to the universe is I'm open for growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It might not have been the right vehicle or the right lane. So you were wise enough to be like, this might not be it. But then as soon as you close that down, universe is like, I heard your call. You're ready for growth.
No joke. Sincerely. Sincerely.
So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. That is something that I'm learning is that, and this has been true my whole life. It's not just in this business. It's been true when I got my $1 million sales job, a sales leader job. I was interviewing for this other role. I was getting ready to take it. And all of a sudden this recruiter calls me out of the, right. I raised my hand, backtrack. I have got multiple stories of I was getting ready to go do something else. And then all of a sudden something that was even better showed up.
That
Right.
has happened to me my whole entire life. I've told you in the backstory. I'll share more with the
Yeah.
listeners in a little bit when I can. So in a few more episodes, guys, I'll share more with you guys. But what I can say too is that I have found like just a very similar experience.
Yeah. But none of that comes unless you start to take some kind of action. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know if this is perfect or good or bad. It feels right, seems all right.
Yeah.
Let's
And
try it.
I think that's the best way to go. When I am, for this little last 6 to 8 weeks, I have felt more disconnected from myself than I have in a really long time. Right. But I have my entire career, I have felt so connected to myself and source and like opportunity and stuff like that. I mean, there's been times in my life that have just been damn magical. I don't know any way else to put
Full
it.
on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so when I went into this little hibernation period that I'm coming out of, I had felt a little disconnected in that, and I started to fear that I lost that thing that you're talking about. Like, I thought I lost it, Amy. I was very sad. I actually cried. I was like, "Is it gone?"
No, no.
And the answer is no. No, but I had to go inside, and I think this is a really I didn't know where this conversation was gonna go, but I think it's a really powerful conversation for the listeners too, because we all go through it regardless of how connected we are or how connected we are not. There's different periods where we are, and what I'm trying to say is you never really lose it, but perhaps you haven't answered the question of what do you want for a really long time. Because when I started asking that question or answering that question, that little connection started coming back. I was like, "Oh, girl, there you are. There you are. I know you. I feel you." I'm just, Amy, I am just tickled pink over here that this is the way the conversation has gone because I think it's so powerful and so needed right now in this world where AI is so heavy. And I love AI, so I'm not knocking it, but there is a human element that's missing from so much of the conversations right now. And I think you just brought humanity into the podcast, into this conversation. And I'm just so happy. So thank you for sharing all of that, truly. And now I'm just going to turn that into another question for you. How could someone take what we've been talking about and use it as empowerment for themselves?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think first off, there's a chance to give yourself permission to want something.
Goosebumps head to toe. Can you say it one more time?
Yeah. Like give yourself permission to want something. Yeah. You're allowed. You're allowed to want something for your life that's beyond whatever path has happened. Yeah. And not that it's wrong. Nothing's wrong with it. It's what's so. But you're allowed to want something else. You're allowed to want more or less,
Yes, sometimes less is more.
right? You're allowed to have it. And that clarity of getting that, like writing it down, that's the empowerment moment. Like a blank sheet of paper is all you need. A walk, like unplug from everything, go for a walk. What do I really want? And if you're really lost in getting the answer to that, like the person who knows what you want is about the 7 or 8 year old version of you.
Amy, can we be best friends? Like, I believe that so much too.
Yeah.
In a period of life where I was rediscovering myself, and really when I decided to come forward as a writer and a speaker, like I had been writing since I was a child, I had
Yeah.
been speaking since I was a child. But when I decided to go pro, I remember sitting there and doing an exploratory, it's probably about 10 years ago when I was like, what do I want? Another season of like all this stuff. And I recall like doing a meditation and going into inner child work of like, what do I want? And I remember being a little girl, maybe 5 or 6, and writing a story and then placing all my stuffed animals up against my wall, my pound puppy, my Rainbow Bright. I have Rainbow Bright out there, all of them right there. And I performed, I spoke, I gave them a motivational
Yeah.
speech. And like, there's a truth in saying, hey, this younger version of you already knew what it wanted to express and how it wanted to express.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I just really appreciate that you shared that.
Yeah.
It's a good unlock for somebody.
I hope somebody take time to do it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just get quiet, be alone, and try to remember what was going on when you were 7 or 8 years old and what your little heart desired at that point in your life. And you'll start to see stuff. I guarantee it.
God, I'm tearing because it's just so powerful. If you know, you know. So, and here we are, 29 minutes. It flew by. So, is there anything, let's just, like, you just shared an empowering message with them, but is there anything else, like in a statement that you want to say? And then I would love you to share your handles, how to stay in touch, and all that.
Yeah. The one thing I would offer you is trust yourself. You know what's best for you. Yeah. And if you want to find me, come grab me on LinkedIn. I'm at Aylin Evans, Aylin Evans, Lynn Evans. And I have a website, amyevanscoaching.com. And I'm glad you listened today.
Amy, thank you for being a guest on the Empowered Half Hour. It was an honor to have you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you, Becca.